You know what?
What?
It's Thursday,
Thursday.
which means that tonight is episode number 10 of Rubber Duck Engineering.
10. Awesome.
10. We have a whole new decimal place.
A whole new decimal place and a whole new project.
And a whole new project, that's right. And to kick us off, I'm Eric Seidel.
I'm Adam Barth.
And here we are fumbling through 10 weeks. My wife was saying to me, really, we've been doing this 10 weeks? How has it been? I guess we've been pandemicing long enough, whatever. And we have 10 weeks of this under our belt. So how are you, Dr. Barth?
I'm doing pretty well. We were doing a lot of dancing with the kids earlier today. So I might have gotten a little sweaty. So I apologize. My forehead is a little shiny today.
We had such grand plans for our 10th episode, and I, started to work on getting the next big project set up, and then kind of life got in the way. My will crumbled as the project dependency tree was having me build my own copy of Boost.
So I think this week we're gonna do a little palette cleanser of a project. It's a classic. It's Conway's Game of Life. If you're familiar with that, if not, you'll get to see as we go along. But hopefully this will be a sort of a fun little project, and then maybe we'll dive into the ambition swimming pool in a few episodes.
Yes, the ambition swimming pool. So, my understanding is that you have already baked us a project in your second oven.
Yes, I clicked on GitHub. I clicked about 3 buttons, and I created us a repo.
Oh man! So we can jump straight to the chase. And I also used my third microwave, or whatever the cooking shows do, and I have checked out your GitHub project.
It has both a README and a license file.
Whoa, you're really getting going there, Dr. Barth. Okay, so Conway's Game of Life. Should we show the peoples like what we're building towards here?
Yeah, I looked at the Wikipedia page for it. It looks quite nice.
Let's do it. Conway Game of Life. Show me the Wikipedias. There you go.
Yeah, so basically what this is a cellular automata. So it's a world where in the traditional one, the universe is divided into a grid, and each square of the grid is either alive or dead. And then there are rules that say if the adjacent squares are a certain number of them are alive, then that square becomes alive, or it dies, or it stays alive, that kind of thing. Okay. And you can build these cool little machines. So this picture here is a glider gun. So it shoots out these little patterns that self-replicate and fly off into infinity.
And aren't there like colored versions of this and other such craziness?
Yeah, so I thought maybe we would just start with the basic one, and then we could do things like have different colors in the cells, maybe representing different players, or I guess we talked in the green room doing other shapes besides rectangles and.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think there's some there. We can play with this. I've never tried to build any of these, little glider gun kind of stuff.
Oh, I was into it when I was a kid. Like when I learned how to make the glider gun, I was like very proud of myself to be able to like draw it out.
This reminds me of it reminds me of building machines in Minecraft, which I do sometimes with my child, who is just entering the Minecraft age.
I feel like the rules of Minecraft are a little more complicated because
more complicated.
Each cube can be like a different material. I mean, I guess you could do similar things here.
Well, you can build machines. They have some goo or gel or something in Minecraft, and it's like a fundamental building block to like break the rules inside Minecraft and build machines that like fly and other such craziness. So, anyways, that's a topic for another show. Shall we get to the coding?
Yeah, so I think we talked about doing another project in Flutter. I think not all the projects will be done in Flutter, but it seems like a good tool for this project too. Yeah,
I think if we're writing pixels on the screen, Flutter makes a lot of sense. But I think I have hope, and I think I've heard you ever hope that part of why I'm in computer science is I enjoy learning new things. So there are probably projects we will do together that don't involve writing on the screen. So, so we don't have anything here. So I guess we Flutter create.
I
What that
assume
does?
so. I think that'll create us a blank.
It's telling me my Flutter is out of date. That's okay. I learned my lesson in our like second episode. I updated my copy of Flutter like 5 minutes before showtime, or maybe it was a half an hour before showtime, and it was a bad time.
Yes, it's good to have tools that you make sure do what you think they're going to do.
So whatever version of Flutter we were using for the sound project, we are now using for the Conway project. And continuing my tradition of just leaving, I actually quit the sound. I had Hal running until yesterday, and I quit. You can watch the previous episode. We had someone submit a sound visualizer that was HAL 9000. It was great. So it says it's all done, but it's still thinking about it.
So you were able to turn off HAL? Because my understanding is it's usually difficult.
I do believe I successfully turned off HAL. I mean, we never know. HAL could still be running somewhere. Okay.
So I had an idea.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this beforehand, but I wonder if we wanted to try test-driven development, at least for the engine part of the game.
What is the engine part? That's the like feed me a grid and I tell you what the next grid is kind of thing?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That knows the rules of the game and like it seems like an eminently testable kind of thing.
Great. So we pull up code, which we have, and it says that we've created a whole bunch of files. So that would be we create a test. I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind is like, how do we model this? Like, what does the world look like?
Do you want to increase your font size so people at home can read your screen?
My keyboard commands don't seem to be working tonight. So I'll have to figure out where the zoom button is. Appearance. Zoom in. I see.
So maybe HAL 9000 in the chat says, "How is merge with master? HAL can never be turned off."
Oh, there's comments. Oh, I didn't have the comments. Oh my goodness. Yes.
I think there's truth in what this person is saying.
Oh, I see. And we had, yes, another Minecraft fan. Yes, I agree. I have redstone is a giant. Redstone is difficult to build with.
It's a family show, Eric. So how to model the world? I guess I was imagining using a type data array to store the data and encapsulating that in a class of some sort.
Like a 2D type data? Like it could just be 2D list, right? Like a list inside a list, or?
Yeah, or just even a linear list, and then we can do the math to address it.
Oh, does a type data array do multiple dimensions?
Not directly. I think it's mostly linear.
I see.
It has some funny like 4x kind of thing that's mostly used for like WebGL and stuff. But
I see.
When I've done this, I would just pick like UN8 list and just write the addressing ourselves.
When I've made games like this before, which I've done a little bit, making the world class so that abstracts away the existence of the 2D array is nice, because it's nice to be able to talk to it like with an XY. Okay, so Conway.dart. I'm sure someone has actually written a Conway pub package. I didn't go looking.
Yeah, but I think the fun of it is to do that part of it.
Oh, totally. What are we calling this thing? Map world.
Sure.
And let's not care how but what are we accessing it? We need like, what is the thing that's stored at world? Is it like an int? Is it like an enum?
We need to like know how big it is, right? So there's like the width and height.
Sure.
Like a get.
Yeah, some sort of get or at or something like that. Well, what's your capitals here? I think that's Microsoft. Oh, it's a keyword. Are you allowed to do that?
You can say get at.
Or just at, but whatever. Go ahead, keep on. We don't need to argue about the names.
Then
Okay.
there's like a next, and like
Next.
iterates.
Oh yeah. Well, I was thinking that would be
Oh, Nash has asked us to increase the font size even more.
the font machine. Oh, it worked. Whoa. It really worked. Is that better? We're probably on some time delay, so Nash will get back to us. So I think this would be some other, like, this could be just like a raw model. This could be some, whatever. Let's type some code and we'll refactor later. Okay, next.
Oh, you're saying this will return like a new world? Like this is the world state?
Yeah, I was thinking that this would be.
You're talking about like that?
I was just somehow separating the logic from the storage. But again, let's get some code.
Okay.
We'll argue about it later. Okay.
Okay, so I think internally this thing wants to have like a uint 8 list.
Sure. That we create at some size. We assume the world is not resizable.
Yes. Or at least a given state of the world is not. There's a question of like, so you have a glider that flies off to infinity. Does that make the world get bigger, or does it just get clipped off?
I think the glider just, either we make this like a ring buffer and the like what happens to the glider when it hits the edge of the world? Does it disappear? Does it bounce? Does it wrap?
Oh, I like the idea of doing it as a ring buffer, so it like fly back in, and it'll hit the gun, and then like the gun will explode at some point. That sounds
I think let's make the world itself fixed size.
Okay.
And then we can decide what edge behavior is.
Okay.
Separately.
So I feel like we need a constructor here that's like.
I suspect that the rules for Conway actually determine edge behavior.
That's true, but I think we can also take some liberties and
of course,
decide that we want to do something slightly crazy.
Well, that's going to be the fun part. We were, as he said, we were talking in the green room about like what if we made these hexagons, or like, you know, you could do non-Euclidean surface. Like I have no idea what.
Oh, there's totally a picture of that in the Wikipedia page. There's this, like, this crazy twisted shape, and there are all these like cellular automata flying around it. Like that looks super cool.
Oh. We'll see how far we get.
Okay, so like we're gonna do a little bit of math here, right? So this is like,
yeah, this is like your stride or whatever. Whatever they say. What is it on the screen? This is stride.
Yeah, stride. I think in this case, the stride is just. I guess we have to decide whether it's like row major or column major.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like that's part of why you hide it away in something like this. So the rest of your program can just deal with it in, readable XY. We could make these. Yeah, we could make this a little prettier, but yeah, that's fine. Okay. So, and this is where I get to that that this should move into a different, like either be a function, like this could wholly be a separate function that just takes in a state, applies the next to it, and returns you a new state.
All right.
If you want to be functional.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Like, I don't know whether it's actually a function or whether it ends up on a class, but we need to find out. So
I think definitely if we want to play around with different algorithms for evolving the state, having it be separate from the model makes a lot of sense.
So we need some bounds checking here.
Okay. What do you want it to do when you get? Okay, so you want to like return 0 if you're out of bounds?
Well, I think this is where we get to the tests part, right? We were talking about test-driven development.
Okay, so let's write that test and
make that decision, right? So yeah. Let's go. Okay, so we gotta make a new file in our tests. Conway test. You know anything about Conway? Who this individual is?
I know a bunch. I know that he did many other things in his life, and my understanding is the Game of Life is not the most significant like mathematical contribution he made, but of course it is one of the most popularly known contributions.
So this individual was a mathematician.
I believe so.
I do not know anything about this individual other than Conway Game of Life. I know that is a thing. So we don't need to use flutter test for this. We can use just package test. I'm lazy, and I copied instead of. Do we need to depend on package test? We might.
Oh yeah, T-Bolt. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your handle incorrectly. Mentions in the chat that yeah, he died not long ago. That's actually what got me thinking about doing this.
Oh, that's right. I remember seeing somebody post on a list at work about that. Okay. We need a probably dev dependency of test. And any is not the way you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to depend on like an actual explicit version. So I should probably go do that right. Pub.dev/.
I think what's neat about the Game of Life is it really sort of gets at the core of what an algorithm is. And like when I was a kid, I didn't really know much about computers and stuff. Like I learned about the Game of Life, and that kind of got me interested in like computers doing things in very mechanical ways. But then having that do something interesting, like it really feels like more than the sum of the parts. Like you have these sort of simple rules, and you get these cool things out of it, like the glider gun. And to me, that's always been the neat thing about it.
Yeah, it never really captured my imagination that much. But I think they do look pretty. Okay, I don't know why this is. Oh, I see it's running pubget. Okay, Nash, let me know if this is too small. I'm gonna make this one notch smaller, just to give us a little more room. Okay, so this is not what this is anymore. All right, so do world test. Okay.
You still need the parentheses to make it into a function.
Yes, correct, into a function. So we want to say like create a world. And I don't actually know if that's proper syntax, but we'll pretend it is for the moment. A world that get at 1, 1, and we want to expect this to be a 0, or like what does the world return? I think we said it was an int.
That's what I would expect.
And then at -1. So are we just doing a live dead? If so, then we can just make everything out of scope be dead. Or we could make it be null, but I don't think exposing null to the rest of the system is actually probably that useful.
Yeah, I think the choices are like wrap around like a torus, or just make everything outside be dead.
Okay. How do we make something be alive?
We call set at to set it to a value.
Okay.
I feel like 1 is the. I always like when I write tests. I always pick very unique numbers for all the parameters. Like if we'd messed up the order of arguments for set at, we would not at all be able to tell from that text.
I agree.
Yeah, and I get super like superstitious about this, and I'll pick like prime numbers and, like to make sure they don't get like multiplied together in weird ways. And I'm sure none of that at all matters, but it just like.
Okay. I don't really like that we're overloading an integer for this. Like this should be an enum or something like that. I subscribe to the philosophy that I think maybe just as being a Google too long, but just that code is always read, a zillion more times than it's written. And so it's always about
let's
making it readable. What'd you say?
Let's do that.
Well, so I think part of that then is
That's fine. It's just
turning this into an enum then, right?
Yeah.
So we do what is this? Is like life. I don't know.
It's cell state, right?
So it's enum, cell state, alive, dead.
I would flip it around. I put dead first, but
okay.
Because the UINT date will initialize to 0, and so now if you do cell state,
from index or something like that.
Yeah.
Dart enums are weak sauce, so I don't know that actually even works. You might have just like cast it.
I don't have the analyzers or the fancy things.
Dart enum from int. I feel like it doesn't support that out of the box. I'm asking the Stack Overflow.
Values.
Oh, values. But is that guaranteed ordered? Well, we'll hope.
It doesn't matter because we'll do it the other way around too, right? We'll take a self state as an argument here and say .index.
Okay.
Analyzer is mad at me, so I presume that I did. Oh, the types are wrong.
Let's see what the analyzer said. Int cannot be assigned. Yeah, good. This would be. This is what the analyzer. It tells us these things.
Yeah, your expectation is then going to want to change, right?
Well, this is why types help you too, is because then it's harder to mess up your order of your.
Yeah, then you need less of this like prime number superstition.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, and then I don't need a comment either. And we see why we type everything. Isn't that much prettier? Why is there no constant dead? Oh, is it supposed to be capitalized? I don't remember what the Dart style says about that.
I know this is something that's changed over the lifetime of Dart. Like originally they were in all caps or something. But
that's so terrible. Sorry, T-Bolt saying Conway died of COVID-19. Oh, that's terrible. Wow, really bringing the mood down.
Yeah.
Okay. World state does not return. Yeah, fine. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm gonna return null while I still can. I saw in my tweet stream today that the peoples of the interweb are already trying out Dart non-nullability. So it's coming. Your days of null are numbered. Whoops, wrong one. You can't take away my null. Well, please do actually take away my null.
Should we overflow to the like too large a positive number as well as a negative number?
Yeah. Let's do. I feel like I'm in like an interview now. This is actually what I've done lots of interviewing over the years. And interviewing is really mostly about like having a conversation with like a potential future colleague and like getting to watch them think and stuff like that. But one of the common things that I really like to see is people who like think about the question of testing and can imagine like how are the many ways that the system can go wrong, because it's actually really useful when you do your job. Anyways.
I feel like we should do this test for the negative numbers too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Ranting randomly about interviewing. I saw an article about how interviewing is really just a test of your ability to handle stress. And I kind of believe that. People do really well when they just are calm. Okay. Okay.
I'm adding lots of cases. I just try to like my thought process here is like I try to imagine like wrong implementations.
Yeah.
So I want to show that getting doesn't clear the state. It's not
Mhm.
like a take operation. So I try again,
Yep.
and then I want to test that I can go back to the other state. The other thing I would check here is like you're going out of bounds in both dimensions at once, and I'd want to check that. That's really good to check, but we should also check that if you go out of bounds in each direction, that it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Introduce some prime numbers here. Superstitions are sake.
Old habits die hard, man.
So 42 shows up in my tests a lot. I don't know why.
So you talked about test-driven development. I don't know if it's something that I've ever really practiced a lot, but I do sometimes find that it's like easier to write the test first.
Yeah, I mean, test-driven develops like a super extreme thought process on this, where like you aren't even allowed to write a line of code until you've written the test that has now failed, and then you can go do it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't find that any of these extremes. I think the extremes are interesting in like illustrating the idea, but I found it rare that the world of software engineering. I feel it tends to be so much more messy. Like rare that an extreme actually survives. Contact with the enemy or contact with the code.
I think they make for good discussions.
Okay, so check out of bounds, both at once. One at a time. And then I'm just trying to imagine myself reading this. I know we're not going to be reading this again in some months, but certainly when I worked on WebKit or you worked on Chromium, like you would commonly read the same code like 2 years later to fix a bug and it's really nice to have some ability to get back into the code.
Yeah, I think especially for tests, it's super important to capture the intent of the test. Like, why did I write this test?
Well, I wrote this here initially because it's like otherwise people would just be this is a typo.
Yeah. Or like if something like sometimes you want to change tests, right? Something changes about the system. You come back to your test and like, did I break the test? Am I changing it in a way that the test author was trying to make sure I didn't do? Like, those are the kind of questions I want to ask.
All right, so we can run this, and I expect it'll just crash. I actually don't know if this run button will work because I feel like we tried this some episodes ago and it didn't. I seem to recall I hadn't quite set up my Visual Studio Code correctly.
Oh, the Java missile.
Java.
I remember the Java missile from like episode 2.
Oh no. Okay, no. Sorry. Java, no. Okay, let's go to this test machine, the command line. Dun dun dun. Start. Test. I bet I have to add a main. Oh, no. It just worked. What is the test? Yes, indices must not be negative. Of course. Yes, great. So let's go fix our test.
Okay.
So this is where we started 10 minutes ago. What do we do with out of bounds? So we're going to have to make this actually a long block now. We want to do if x is less than 0, or y is less than 0, or x is greater than width, or y is greater than height. So that just reminded me that there are other cases we should check. We should check the 1 case, like 11. And we also should check where to make sure we don't screw up width and height, because I have done that.
Yep. That's great. Do you want to take notes, and then we'll come back and do those tests?
Well, the only way I know to take notes is to check off by 1 for width, height. Check that width I not swapped. The only way I know to take notes is in the comments. Okay, so now we return cell state that dead.
Mm-hmm. So your code has a bug, and I think just by telling you that it has a bug, you're going to find it. But I think it's sort of interesting to write the test and have the test lead us to the bug.
Hold on. I'm yet again rolling. Speaking of the news, I flashed by some article in one of my news feeds that talked about how we're all getting insomnia from these crazy times, and I am rolling on like another 5 hours of sleep. Where is my bug? Let's see.
Don't stare at it too hard. I think we should write the test and make the test find the bug.
Oh, okay, fine. We need a return statement to make the analyzer happy.
Okay.
And why is it not wrapping?
Oh, this is a code formatting option in Dart that we have set one way in Flutter, and I think is by default the other way, which is a single line if statement. Anyway,
oh.
Yeah.
Well, fine. I'll do this.
you will make the code style bend to your will.
I will make it a 3-line if statement.
The current project I'm working on, its style guide says it's like the parts that are in C or C++. Yeah. You must use curly braces for every like if and while statement.
Yeah.
It's for security.
Totally.
Concerns because they want to make sure that you actually meant to return or not return or whatever.
When there was that big hole in Mac OS 10, like a year ago or something, from exactly that. Yeah, it actually bugged me when I moved to Chromium instead of WebKit. WebKit did not. It was optional to have single line if statements in WebKit, and Chromium required curly braces everywhere on ifs, and it bugged the living daylights out of me until I saw that security hole in Mac OS 10, and then I was like, okay, I get it. Okay, moving back to the.
I would do the same thing for set while we're there.
Oh, I agree. So for set, we're just going to ignore it. And I'm going to copy my bug, whatever it was. This one, no, fine. I was going to say that one I would let be one line, but I won't.
All right. Do we pass all of our existing tests? If so, we need to write some more tests.
This hasn't saved. I think it's because I saw something on the Twitter transom about someone making hot reload for Dart testing. I kind of want that.
Oh man, I once worked on a project that had that. It was amazing. Basically, as you were editing the code, there was just like this box on the side that would be green when all your tests were passing.
Yeah.
And as you were typing, it would like go gray because it didn't compile.
Yeah.
And as soon as it compiled, it would go red or green. It was beautiful.
I want this. I want like the analyzer, except it runs all my tests, but sort of silently in the background. And actually, what I really want is I want that, except like on a fleet, like run all the things, but like at low priority, like whatever. There's so much that could be done in infrastructure.
There's a big opportunity in cloud computing to basically do that, where you could just have armies of machines running your tests constantly.
Well, the thing is, though, the like testing culture that I have experienced in large open source projects, particularly at Google, is just not what I've seen from the rest of the world. Hold on, I missed a comment from Nash. Lol, that was me. Oh, I'm sorry, we missed the joke. But it's not what I've seen in the rest of the world. Like Flutter, we don't see we see lots of Flutter users who just don't write tests and don't use the testing abilities. So I don't know how common that is.
Oh, I definitely think there are other like teams and cultures in the open source community that are really heavily into testing.
Yeah,
it just may be personal choices that people have.
Yeah, and there's not necessarily a good or bad way to do it. Just I'm pointing out that the culture I have experienced may be unique. Check off by one height. So we clearly have not covered all. So I want to do this. Off
yeah,
by
so this
one.
gets into an interesting thing about testing too. Is you could try to write logic that was like loops and stuff, and write like then you'd end up writing an if statement for whether you'd expect it to be alive or dead, and you'd probably write the same bug in that if statement that you wrote in your code. And so writing out the test cases is like super concrete, even if they feel really repetitive. Then it helps you see what's actually going on.
It is so true. You actually want to break your brain to like write it differently.
Can I add some more tests here? So like,
Please.
clearly, like let's do 9, 10, and 11. And then we'll swap this and do 9, 10, and 11 in the other axis. So here the thought process is 11 is off by 1, but clearly the numbers around 10 are interesting, right? Because 10 is the size of the world in this.
So these, I think we actually might want an all alive.
You want to find that makes the whole world alive? Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
Yeah, go for it. I think that'd be really good. It's certainly for testing, right?
So the other thing is that I think I think we need to start breaking these out into separate tests.
Okay.
So we may be hitting our.
Yeah, I never know when to do that. Like when I'm writing the code for the first time, I always end up writing these like smoke or control tests and you kind of keep going with it, and I never know when to stop. Like it's much easier when you're writing a patch. You're like, okay, now I'm making this change. Let me write a test that covers that change, right? That makes a clear scope for a test.
Well, coverage can help you with this, right? You can see your coverage numbers, and we could set up coverage for this. This is going to be less end up being drawing pretty pictures and more like how do we do tests, which is good because we didn't maybe cover testing quite as much with the wave stuff. We did it at like very beginning, and then we sort of fell off.
Well, I think that was an area where we were the domain we were very unfamiliar with, and so we were spending a lot of time trying to figure out like what is a Fourier transform. Whereas here, like I feel like I have a pretty strong grasp of the domain, and so these sort of process pieces are more interesting to work with.
I see my bug, by the way.
Huh?
Right?
Yeah, don't fix it. Don't fix it.
Well, we need to find a test but the off-by one should catch it.
It should. Let's find out if it does.
Well, once we have a set all.
It would find it without the set all, but yeah.
Oh, you're right. It would, because it would crash. Do that.
Mm-hmm.
Helps if I have a Y. Okay. Now, of course, we have to test that too. But all right, shall we run our tests? No. Well, so what I was getting at was the ones where they're out of bounds.
So let's, if you get down to the bottom of this file, I think when we create a new world, I think that's a good opportunity to create a new test. Right?
Yeah.
We're clearly testing something different there.
Yep.
So,
and I think we want to split maybe even more than that. Because it's like these sort of assume that the whole area, like either these are crash tests, like what are they supposed to do? Crash when they fail? Or like, because this expect isn't actually doing anything, right? This is like expect not throw or whatever. I don't remember what the...
Right, so I think let's break that off into a separate test where we make a world that we set to be all alive. All alive boundary test. The purpose of that test will be to check what's going on at the boundaries.
Yep.
And we should check them all, right? So like.
Sure.
So let's make a new world. Let's set all state alive.
This is actually that same thing, right? This actually wants world2 dot set all.
Yeah, we don't have to call it world2 down there because it's
Yeah, that's fine. I can fix that. If we spent this much time in rewriting tests, I'm not sure that would be the right. Like one of the advantages of, like you write a lot of tests when you expect code to be around a long time. Or you expect to have to test, touch it a lot.
Oh, Nash has a comment if you want to project it on the stream.
Oh, please. I'd love to see you set up coverage. I really enjoy watching your approach to testing.
All right, maybe we should do that. That sounds
Sure.
really
good. Flutter has built-in coverage. Because you realize, like, again, we keep gravitating to Flutter in part because we're doing UI stuff, but like Adam and I all just like worked on it when there were like 3 people. So like some parts of it, like the fact that it has coverage built in, reflect like our interest in these kinds of things.
Yeah, I had this experience where I got to the point in working on Flutter that I wanted test coverage, and so I went digging through the docs and I found the coverage machinery in Dart, and I started setting it up, and I kept running into all these issues. And so then I went and found the person on the Dart team who that's what their responsibility was. And I started just asking them all these questions, and they were just like so excited that someone like wanted to engage with them about coverage.
Yes.
And like we built out all this cool stuff, and like the I wanted to plug it into Visual Studio Code. I had some extension that would show me like color code each line about whether it was tested or not or whatever.
Oh, the LCOV stuff.
Yeah,
and everything was so broken. All the LCOV project plugins were terrible.
They may still be terrible. I don't know.
Probably are.
I got it like working, and I had my setup just exactly right, and then I used it.
I feel like, did we even write our own LCOV? Like the world of LCOV.
Yeah, I don't remember whether I did it personally or whether I convinced someone else to do it, but I got the Dart test coverage universe to care about LCode.
Oh yeah, because it like had per character like coverage information that was then surfaced in Observatory.
It was beautiful, the system that they had, but I wanted something much dumber.
That integrated with the outside world.
Yeah, the rest of the world is dumb, but I had a dumb plugin for Visual Studio.
Yes. Or IntelliJ. Anyways, we're way off. Or Sublime or something. I don't know. Anyways, old times. How's our Automa doing?
We haven't done the Automa part of it. We're doing the cellular part of it.
It's okay. We're going to have written a whole bunch of tests. That'll be our episode.
Do you want to run them? I think they're going to fail. I think they're going to find your bug.
Hell no. We only write good code. Whoa. Okay, you're right. How dare I argue with Dr. Barth? All alive boundary test. Expect. Conway test 44. Show me the 44. See, this would be really cool because I know Visual Studio Code can do this. I need to figure out how to fix my setup. This one. Off by 1. Yeah, there's a bug. No. Yeah, there's a bug. That should not be inside.
Well, it shouldn't throw an exception. We define the contract so it never throws an exception. Wait, can we look at your test failure? Is your test failure returning alive or is it throwing an exception?
Actual alive.
Oh. Okay, alive. Then
oh, of course. Because it's just wrapping. It's just straight, It's like, sure, I'll happily multiply these numbers. It's not bounds checking once it does the multiplication. So it just happens to have stumbled into somewhere else that happens to be alive.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're reading off the end of the buffer into data that sort of makes sense.
That's true. Okay, so that's another boundary we should check. We should check the actual last cell.
Yes.
Right. So what is the actual last cell? The actual last cell should be...
it should be 10, 10, 10. 9, 9, rather.
We should check... check 9, 9.
As well as 9, 10.
As well as 9, 10, and 10, 9.
10, 9. Yep. So these should be the last cells. Oh, test, they find so many bugs.
Well, yeah, kind of, but we could have very easily missed that bug if we had the wrong expectations.
So can we go fix the bug now?
I want to see it throw an exception.
Well, you're not going to get past your earlier one.
Oh, okay, fine. We can fix the bug.
Okay. I mean, this is that we don't independently check the bounds, and we just math it. We pointer math, except not really.
It's like C code, having fun in our typed world.
like if we had a different internal implementation, like if we had lists of lists, that would have caused the bug. That would have caught the bug differently because they would be independently bound checking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we have a perfectly working system.
0 bugs.
So about coverage, I think we'd have to use, since this is a Dart test, not a Flutter test. I don't know that we need to go off on the coverage tangent at the moment. I think that command used to work some many years ago. So what's a little different here is that it's no longer running it inside the Dart VM. It's now running in like Flutter's hacked up Dart VM, or like Flutter using the embedded Dart VM in the Flutter tester. Hacked up in a good way. Why is it hanging out forever? Maybe because we're never pumping the widget loop or whatever. It's like, you're not a real app.
Yeah, you may need to use a widget test for that.
Yeah. Oh. Or it just takes 26 seconds? What?
Maybe it took time to boot. Did it output something? Like a coverage file somewhere?
Oh, I see. Maybe that's the coverage that's taking so long.
Coverage I remember as being pretty slow.
No, it's 5 seconds this time. I don't know why it took forever. Oh, because coverage I think does. All right, let's.
Oh yeah, there you go. So I don't know if you have a coverage plugin for Visual Studio Code.
I did at one point, maybe not on this machine, but if we just do. No clue which ones of these would be good.
Can you just click on them? I may remember the icon of the one that I. What's the next?
Generated by Elkov.
I don't know. We could just try. Which one has the most users?
I would assume that it would do it in order. Coverage gutter 68,000. It should totally be in like download order. Let's try this one. Let's see if it eats my machine. Right? Hey, it's got a 5 out of 5 rating. It must be good.
Must be great.
Okay. So how do I tell it where my coverage file is? Or maybe it just will figure it out because it's in the standard location?
Yeah, it's in the standard location. So you may have to reload the project or something, but it should know.
Is this the gutter?
I don't know. Is there like a explanation of how it's supposed to work? Oh yeah, that looks good. That's what I remember. I bet you have to reload the project. It will probably lose my live editing connection, but that's okay.
Why did it do?
I would try. I think there's like a reload window where you can just exit out of Visual Studio Code and come back in.
Well, I also think that I could also do. Do you remember it's like there's like how I run commands. Remember what the prefix is to run commands? Command P.
Oh, I remember when I did this before. There was some funny key combination I had to use.
But it's all one big like power. Okay, we're just needlessly stumbling. I worry if I restart.
If you restart, you'll lose me, but that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm just looking at the documentation on my other screen here.
Okay, I will restart then, just for you. Visual Studio Code. No, I'm not updating yet. Updating while on video is even worse than updating 2 minutes before video. Okay.
So try clicking the no, don't worry about that. Just click on the Conway file.
Show me the coverage.
Okay, so I reading the docs. It looks like there's a command called display.
But I didn't know how to get. That was what the.
Yeah, so I tried to Control Shift P and then display. or Command Shift P.
I see. That was the. There we go.
There you go. So those green boxes are saying that we tested that line of code.
Oh
and
no!
Says that we have not tested.
We have not, in fact. Hey, well, we got coverage. I mean, it's not perfect. So I think to answer your question, oh, hey, reload window. See, Nash is telling us I need to figure out how to make this thing beep at me or something, so I don't miss all these amazing comments. Nash tells us reload window, and you need to prefix the command. I think there are fancier coverage setups than what we did here. But I think the TLDR is that the Flutter test command by default supports coverage. And my understanding is the package test does as well now too, as of recently. But I'd have to, I think package test like wants you to, like here, I can tell you. Like install it globally.
This font is super tiny.
Oh, sorry. I'm biggin'. Honey, I shrunk the web page. Is that a dated reference? It was like a late 90s Rick Moranis movie.
I think it's fine. I think using the Flutter tool to run coverage also worked fine.
Yeah, pub run test, right? So this, I believe there's like a coverage option to this now. I think, but I may be spouting lies. But okay, so we're running low on the times.
Should we just do the basic Conway evolution algorithm?
Yeah. Let's do it.
So Wikipedia said what the rules were. We can just copy and paste them in. And the second formulation there is the easier one for. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so any live cell with 2 or 3 neighbors survives. Any dead cell with 3 live neighbors becomes a live cell. All the live cells die. I see. So you need to walk through all of the cells and have them evaluate the current state and then set what their state will be in the new world. Are they all evaluated in parallel? Like,
yeah, it's all invalidated in parallel. But the way you set up this contract, we're going to create a new world state. And so that one's going to default to being all dead. So we'll just have to walk through the old world and just set the new values in the new world and then return it. This might be actually an interesting thing to do. Once we do the naive version, we may want to come back in a later episode and do performance analysis. This is the kind of thing that you can get like significant performance changes depending on how you do it.
Like when we go to big worlds, you care.
But I think we should do the most naive thing now and then
get
all the tests in place before we start optimizing it.
It's a little lame that we sort of like manually have to copy them, but it's okay. But this kind, like the one function where you look in these things. Oh, I was supposed to share you. It's trivial for me to add that. So let me turn it on. Chugga 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 chugga. Live share. My kid is really into trains right now. Maybe it rubs off on me. Okay, I will not tweet this. I almost tweeted it. I will not tweet the live share link.
Okay, thanks. I got
it. It's like a self-creed. I will not tweet this. I will not tweet this.
Wasn't there some government official who kept tweeting out their Twitter password?
I'm sure there were probably multiple government officials from multiple different governments. Okay. Any live cell with 2 or 3? Yeah. Okay.
So
we need to walk all cells. So for this, I actually kind of want to a for each.
Do you want me to implement for each while you do that?
Sure, that's fine. I think we got time. Well, we don't really have time, but that's fine. Whoa, you're even going to do it on screen?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I guess otherwise, if you didn't, my would scroll you. Okay. For each state, this is cell, state. Okay, each cell with 2 or 3 neighbors. Okay, so this needs to be a for each. You need int x, int y. You had already anticipated that.
Oh, did we agree on the signature?
Yes, we did.
The hardest thing for me is going to be to get the typed up syntax correct.
That's the whole interview, by the way. Can you use Dart typedefs? You pass and you're good.
Oh, maybe if you're hiring a team, you should in parallel interview the members of the team and ask them to both define an API and use an API and see if they get the same API.
You understand?
A really tight team for that.
We would not pass the Dart typedef interview question because I believe Nash had to tell us how to do it last time, or 2 times ago, whenever we last used it. Okay. World for each. Okay, so any live cell. So if value equals state dot live, any live cell, then we do. Oh, except this is not world. This is. I'm going to call it new world. I can't use new because it's a keyword, but I really want this to have new in its name for my sanity.
All right, so we call this old world for
old world, sure. Old really wants to just be old, but for symmetry, yes. Okay. So old world for each. I want new world dot set at x, y, 5.
I think you want to count up the neighbors. So the first thing you want to do is basically walk a neighborhood of X and Y.
Well, hold on. Are you saying I should actually implement the algorithm or just like copy? Yes. No, I was just implementing copy, it would appear. Yes, I do. Okay, so I want a live.
Well, I think you want to do it inside the for each, right? For each point, you're going to walk a neighborhood. Oh, you're going to. Oh, never mind. I see what you're doing.
I'm just trying to. Why I'm doing it this way, which may not actually be a good idea. It's just I want to make the for each as small as possible. Otherwise, it's going to get really big. If a live neighbor count is greater than or equal to 3, it also lets me not ready yet. Do that. Well, I think we decided our style guide was to avoid our security problems. And any dead cell with 3 alive neighbors. Well, this is silly. It's just like if you have 3 alive neighbors, you are alive.
Right.
Isn't that the whole algorithm?
Well, if you have 2 alive neighbors, you stay alive. If you have 3 alive neighbors, you become alive.
I see. So how naive are we doing, or can I optimize that?
I think you should call the count function once, because the count function is the expensive part.
Okay. So okay. Okay. And so really what this is it's like Okay. I'll implement it in a like naive way, but this is not nearly efficient. 2 or 3. So this is greater than 2. And then it's just the same thing. But it's like else. Okay, what's going wrong? You're silent, Dr. Barth.
Oh, you have lots of bugs, which is great, but we'll find them by writing tests.
He says, only.
I mean, I can just say that without having read what you wrote, because anytime you write code, you write bugs.
Oh,
so it's just a truism. No, not me even specific. Even every time I write code, I write bugs. Anytime anybody writes code.
I get it.
I really did not mean to throw the shade. I was just speaking about the universal truth of writing code.
My sunglasses come down. Okay. Count alive neighbors. So this thing we have to do. This is where it would be nice if they were actually just ints. So this is like, the naive one here is like turn. Really, this should move onto the world.
Oh, that's a good point. Do you want me to implement it on the world?
Well, we can make it more efficient, like when we put it on the world. Whether we do that now.
Let's do it. I have to spell it correctly. Are you?
Like the world, for example.
You only want to do alive neighbors. I can do that.
The world, for example, could know that alive is stored as a 1, or something like that, and just add. But we're not going to do that now. So the simple implementation of this is just a return statement with whatever that is. When you look at neighbors, are you just looking up, down, or are you also looking diagonally?
You look at the 8 surrounding.
Okay. I mean, I don't know where you're going here, but the inner tubes are clogged here a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry, the inner tubes are clogged.
Whoa.
I took it away, don't worry. Don't be scared.
My eyes.
I knew you wouldn't like it, so I took it away.
I mean, I was already getting to, like, even if we're going to do it this way, we can extract away, like, into a little function that's like, that turns, you give it an index, an XY pair, and it returns 0 or 1. Oh, okay, I like this.
I should be narrating what I'm thinking, but
why do you pre-increment?
I once worked on a project that was the style guide. It doesn't matter, right? They both do the same thing.
No, it does not matter.
Okay, I typed it on my side. Let's see. I then get to watch the instant replay as the inner tubes come and get unclogged.
The inner tubes they're still clogged. It's too many emails. I don't know. Yeah, the inner tubes. You can see it, right?
I can see, yeah, what's on your screen.
Are you saying that it's not a perfect representation of what's on yours?
It's quite similar. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Wow, my fingers they never left my hands. Watch. I'm typing real fast.
There's a little bit of a sound pre-delay going on.
Okay, that's what I typed.
Okay, good. Let's fix the analyzer so it can. Oh, the old world. Yeah. The famous old world. Known for its spices or something. I don't know. Okay. No constant named live. Is it alive?
It's alive.
Details.
I see. We deviated from the Wikipedia. Okay, so we wrote some code. I'm convinced that the code has bugs, but we should.
Why is Dart not indenting these correctly?
I would try just adding some text and then saving. It's possible because I did the last typing that it was.
That's odd. Maybe this is like a Dart format bug, where like it sees a comment line and it just tries real hard not to touch it. I don't know. Okay, so you're going around this like window of your DX. You're not checking the cell itself. Fine. You're you're checking for a live. Whoa! Oh my god. Okay. It's fine. Okay, so shall we write some tests?
Yeah. So on the Wikipedia page, there are examples of what is supposed to happen, and I thought those might be a good test to do. This at one point, Eric and I were doing some software related to the game of Bridge, where there was a book that gave a bunch of example hands.
What do you mean at one time? It was like years of our life.
For many years.
Great years.
This is a hint about what our bigger project will be later on. But there was a book that was telling you like, here's the proper play you're supposed to make in this scenario, and we just sort of copied all those examples in as tests, and then like check whether our Bridge AI was doing the right thing.
Except Bridge, the examples were not self-consistent or make any sense.
It turned out that Bridge is all about lying. But anyway, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
So I thought maybe that very first still life maybe should be our first test. And
oh, I see. Just that block stays.
Yep.
Is that your idea?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you just put a dot? It just expands, or
if you just put a single dot, it dies. And we could do that as our first test.
Okay. Yeah. Let's write some simple tests. This is fun. I'm getting into this. Okay. So
yeah, we're coming up on an hour and 10 minutes here, so I think maybe we should
write really
see that it fails, and then that can be the dramatic cliffhanger for the episode.
Let everybody go to bed, including me. My addled brain that's working on about 4 hours it's time to let it rest. Or try to. Okay. World state state or 5x5.
I think it was 4x4 for the box.
I just was going to try and let something die, right? World dot. Maybe we should have like a count alive function, or how are we going to like easily?
Well, I think next episode we might get into writing matchers and all kinds of powerful testing things. But for now, I think we could just examine. Yeah, count alive. I'll add count alive while you write the test.
He's like, okay, I won't make you spam out 8 checks. Of course, now I'm basically counting or testing count alive. World.set at 1 5 and then we want Why is it not? Why don't you like me? You dislike my typing. Okay. And this is. Oh. You don't like about my typing. No? Okay, there we go. All right. And then I want is it a free function just called next?
Yeah, I think so. We may regret that name, but for now, I think we can.
That's fine. That's a next. Okay.
I like that other assertion that you just deleted, that the old world isn't modified by that operation. I'll add it back.
Oh, that was not intentional, but yes.
I always think about that when I'm editing tests in that way. Like, if I'm deleting an assertion, like, should I just keep that assertion?
I just said copied it, but yeah. No, but I agree. That's a good assertion to have.
It's just a way of generating. Like, a lot of times when you're writing tests, the problem is that your mental model when you wrote the code and your mental model when you wrote the test are the same. So I always look for opportunities of breaking my mental model when I'm writing the test.
Okay, and let's quickly do this one as well. Or not.
Let's do block whatever it is. Endures.
Two, 1, 2, 2 should be 4. And then this is going to be 4 and 4. Okay. We see it all fail for the dramatic cliffhanger. Everybody ready?
Drum roll.
Oh, wrong command. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna like wake everybody else in my house making drum rolls here. No.
Some test failed.
Count alive was called on null.
Great.
Come for the dramatic conclusion of Count alive was called on null.
Tune in next week.
So we are way over time, so I think we should call it.
Yep.
But this was fun.
This is great. I really enjoyed this.
Next time we get to draw on the screen. That'll be great.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone in the chat. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have the viewers, plural. Any other words before we say goodbye, Dr. Blythe?
No, just have a great week.
This code is not on GitHub, Nash asks, but it's about to be.
Yes, we push right out after the episode. Yeah.
We have a little a post-show, countdown, and one of that is me hitting commit. So I'll have it up in about 5 minutes. So thanks all. See you next week.